Chapter 1. The calm before the storm. The command center of Titan Base hummed with quiet confidence, its vast holographic displays painting the current state of the war in soft blue light. Admiral Sarah Chen stood at the central tactical table, surrounded by humanity's finest military minds, their faces illuminated by the glow of strategic projections, showing Dominion territories marked in red territories that were shrinking with each passing day. The Proxima campaign was a complete success, reported Colonel Martinez, his voice carrying the satisfaction of hard-won victory. We've crippled their supply lines across 3 sectors. General Alexander Holt nodded approvingly from his position at the head of the table. At 55, he was humanity's most decorated officer, his silver hair and weathered face bearing the marks of countless battles. The stars on his uniform caught the light as he leaned forward, studying the tactical display with the intensity that had made him legendary. "Excellent work," Colonel Holt said, his voice carrying the authority that had inspired a generation of soldiers. "With the Dominion's supply network disrupted, we can begin the final phase." Chen felt a surge of pride as she looked around the room. These were the men and women who had turned the tide of an impossible war, who had taken humanity from the brink of extinction to the threshold of victory. The industrial moon beneath their feet thrummed with the activity of a war machine operating at peak efficiency, factories churning out weapons, shipyards launching new vessels, and training centers preparing the next wave of fighters. "The Dominion prime assault is scheduled for next week," Chen announced, her finger tracing the route on the holographic map. "Intelligence suggests their defenses are weakening. If we strike hard and fast, we can end this war." Holt smiled, the expression seeming to warm the entire room. "Humanity has come far from those dark days when we thought all was lost. We've proven that determination and unity can overcome any obstacle." The officers around the table nodded in agreement, their confidence absolute. Why shouldn't it be? Under Holt's leadership, they had won victory after victory, each success building upon the last. The general's tactical brilliance had become the stuff of legend, his name spoken with reverence in military academies and spoken with fear in Dominion councils. But as the meeting concluded and the officers filed out, discussing final preparations and troop movements, none of them noticed the brief, cold smile that flickered across Holt's face, a smile that held no warmth, no genuine satisfaction in humanity's approaching triumph. Humanity had come far, its victory nearly within reach, but in the shadow of triumph an insidious betrayal was brewing, one that would change the course of the war and force humanity to confront a threat from within. Chapter 2. The Hero's Mask. 3 hours after the staff meeting, General Alexander Holt stood alone in his private quarters, the sound of Titan Base's industrial machinery creating a constant, muffled thunder beneath his feet. To his subordinates, these chambers represented the Spartan discipline of a warrior among simple furnishings, battle honors on the walls, and strategic texts scattered across his desk. They saw what he wanted them to see, that the reality was far more complex. Holt activated his personal console, entering a complex encryption sequence that would have impressed even humanity's best codebreakers. The holographic display that materialized showed not human star charts, but the distinctive, crystalline interface of Dominion technology. A figure materialized in the blue light, tall, elegant, with the characteristic angular features of a Dominion High Commander. General Holt. The alien's voice carried the musical quality of his species, but there was steel beneath the melody. "Your last intelligence package was ... adequate." Holt's jaw tightened. "Adequate. I handed you the complete battle plans for the Proxima offensive. Your losses should have been minimal, yet you failed to mention the new shield disruption technology. 3 of our dreadnoughts were destroyed because of that oversight." The general's hands clenched into fists. 6 months ago he had been passed over for promotion to Supreme Commander, watching as younger officers like Sarah Chen rose through the ranks while his own career stagnated. The Dominion had offered him something humanity never would: recognition of his true worth, a position commensurate with his abilities. "The shield disruptors were classified beyond my clearance level," Holt replied coldly. "I provide what I can access. Then perhaps you need to expand your access." The Dominion commander's image flickered slightly, a sign of the vast distance the signal had traveled. "The Dominion prime assault, we know it's coming. What we need are the precise coordinates, the timing, the formation patterns." Holt nodded. "Slowly, I'll have that information within 48 hours. But I want assurances about our agreement. Your position as governor of the Terran sectors is guaranteed, as is your family's safety." But first, you must prove your continued value to the Dominion. The transmission ended, leaving Holt alone with his thoughts and the weight of his choices. He moved to the window, looking out at the bustling activity of Titan Base. Thousands of men and women worked tirelessly, believing they were serving under a hero, trusting him with their lives and their future. General Holt was humanity's most trusted officer, a hero who had led them to victory after victory. But in the darkness of his private chambers, a different allegiance was being forged, one that would threaten to tear humanity apart. The irony wasn't lost on him. In seeking to claim his rightful place in history, he had become history's greatest monster. ##****, Chapter 3, Shadows of Doubt ****, Commander Lisa. Torres had always prided herself on her attention to detail. As head of intelligence operations aboard the Retribution, she had developed an almost supernatural ability to spot patterns, to see connections that others missed. It was a skill that had saved countless lives during the war, and it was a skill that was now setting off every alarm bell in her mind. She sat in her cramped quarters, surrounded by datapads and holographic displays showing intelligence reports. From the last 3 months, the coffee she'd poured 2 hours ago had gone cold, but she barely noticed. Her focus was entirely on the troubling pattern that was emerging from the data. Computer, overlay timeline, Dominion counterattacks versus human strategic planning meetings. The display shifted, showing a chronological sequence that made Torres's blood run cold. Every major Dominion counterstrike had occurred within 72 hours of high-level strategy sessions. The enemy seemed to anticipate humanity's moves with uncanny precision, almost as if they had access to the planning meetings themselves. "That's impossible," she muttered, but even as she said it, she knew it wasn't. There was only one explanation. For this level of intelligence penetration, someone in the command structure was feeding information to the enemy. Torres's hand shook slightly as she began cross-referencing personnel files with security clearances. The list of officers with access to the highest levels of strategic planning was short, fewer than 20 names. But one name kept appearing in connection with the compromised operations: General Alexander Holt. A soft chime indicated an incoming message. Torres opened it to find a priority communication from Admiral Chen, requesting her presence in the secure briefing room immediately. As she gathered her datapads, Torres felt the weight of her discovery settling on her shoulders like a physical burden. The walk to the briefing room felt like a march to execution. When she arrived, she found Chen waiting with Colonel Martinez and Captain Williams, their faces grave. "Lisa," Chen said without preamble, "we need to talk. Have you noticed anything unusual about our intelligence security lately?" Torres set down her datapads with deliberate care. "Admiral, I've been analyzing our operational security for the past week. What I've found is ... troubling." She activated the holographic display, showing the timeline of compromised operations. Every major Dominion counterstrike has been precisely timed to counter our strategic initiatives. The probability of this being coincidental is less than 0.003%. Chun's face darkened. "You're suggesting we have a mole?" "I'm suggesting we have a very highly placed mole," Torres corrected. "Someone with access to the highest levels of strategic planning." The silence that followed was deafening. Finally, Colonel Martinez spoke, his voice barely above a whisper. "The Kepler station disaster. The Dominion knew exactly where our reinforcements would be coming from, and the Vega Prime evacuation," Captain Williams added. "They were waiting for us." Chen stared at the display, her mind racing through the implications. Who has access to all of these operations? Torres highlighted a section of the personnel chart. 17 officers have the necessary clearance levels, but only one has been present at every compromised planning session. The name appeared on the display in stark red letters: General Alexander Holt. At first, it was just a few small, almost insignificant mistakes. But as the investigation deepened, a chilling truth began to take shape. The General they trusted above all others might be the one who had been leading them into a trap. Chapter 4. The Web Unravels ****. The evidence room aboard the Retribution had been converted into a makeshift investigation center, its walls lined with holographic displays showing communication logs, personnel files, and tactical analyses. Admiral Chen stood at the center of it all, her face pale as she absorbed the magnitude of what her team had uncovered. "The communication intercepts are damning," Torres reported, her voice tight with controlled emotion. "We've identified 17 instances of unauthorized transmissions from General Holt's quarters, all using Dominion encryption protocols." Chen felt physically ill. Alexander Holt had been her mentor, the man who had taught her the art of strategic thinking, who had recommended her for promotion to admiral. The idea that he could be a traitor seemed to violate the fundamental order of the universe. There has to be another explanation, she said, but even as the words left her mouth, she knew how hollow they sounded. Captain Williams activated another display. Admiral, there's more. We've been analyzing the timing of the Dominion Prime assault preparations. According to our intercepts, the Dominion is positioning their forces for a massive counterstrike. They know we're coming. How? Chen demanded. Someone provided them with our complete attack plan, Williams replied grimly, including formation patterns, timing, and target priorities. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. The Dominion Prime assault was scheduled to begin in 36 hours. If the enemy knew their plans, the attack would be a massacre. We need to confront him, Martinez said finally. If there's any chance this is a misunderstanding. There's no misunderstanding, Chen interrupted, her voice carrying a finality that surprised even her. The evidence is overwhelming. The question is, what do we do about it? Torres pulled up a new display. Admiral, there's something else. We've been monitoring General Holt's recent activities. He's scheduled to depart Titan Base in 12 hours, ostensibly to take command of the forward assault group, but Chen prompted, but the departure trajectory would take him directly through the Dominion's early warning perimeter. If he's planning to defect. Chen closed her eyes, feeling the weight of command settling on her shoulders like a crushing burden. When she opened them again, her expression had hardened into something resembling granite. Seal the base. No one gets in or out without my express authorization. And prepare a security team. We're going to have a conversation with General Holt. The walk to Holt's quarters felt like a funeral march. Chen's security detail flanked her, their weapons ready, but discreet. As they approached the general's door, Chen found herself hoping against hope that there would be some innocent explanation, some way to preserve the image of the man she had idolized. The door chimed softly as they entered. Holt looked up from his desk, his face showing no surprise at the unexpected visit. If anything, he seemed to be expecting them. Admiral Chen, he said calmly, gesturing to the chairs across from his desk. I was wondering when you would come. Chen remained standing, her security team positioning themselves strategically around the room. General Holt, I need to ask you some questions about recent communications from your quarters. Holt's smile was sad, almost pitying. Sarah, you were always too intelligent for your own good. Yes, I know why you're here. The question is, what do you plan to do about it? The casual admission hit Chen like a physical blow. Part of her had still been hoping for denial, for some way to preserve the illusion of the man she had respected. She whispered, the word torn from her throat. Why would you betray everything we fought for? Holt stood slowly, his movements deliberate and unthreatening. Because I finally understood what we were really fighting for, Sarah. The Dominion isn't our enemy, they're our future. They offer order, stability, a place for humanity in the galactic community. All I had to do was help them save us from ourselves. You've murdered thousands of our people. I've saved billions, Holt replied coldly. The war was unwinnable, Sarah. We were living on borrowed time, postponing the inevitable. The Dominion offered humanity a chance to survive, to thrive under their guidance. I merely facilitated that outcome. Chen felt her hand moving toward her sidearm, but she forced herself to remain still. The assault on Dominion Prime, they know we're coming. Of course they do. Holt's smile was genuinely warm now, the expression of a teacher proud of his students' deduction. They'll be waiting with overwhelming force. The attack will fail spectacularly, and humanity will finally be forced to accept the terms of surrender. You bastard. The words came from Martinez, his voice shaking with rage. You've doomed us all. I've saved us all, Holt corrected. Within a week, this war will be over. Humanity will take its rightful place as a client species of the Dominion, and the killing will stop. History will vindicate my actions. Chen stared at the man she had once considered a hero, seeing him clearly for the first time. General Alexander Holt, you are under arrest for treason, sabotage, and conspiracy to commit genocide. Holt didn't resist as the security team moved to restrain him. As the restraints clicked into place, he looked directly at Chen, his eyes holding a terrible certainty. You can arrest me, Sarah, but you can't stop what's coming. The Dominion fleet is already moving into position. In 36 hours, when your assault fails, they'll demand unconditional surrender, and humanity will have no choice but to comply. General Holt had been humanity's brightest star. But now, in the face of his betrayal, everything was dark. He had led them to believe in victory, only to use that trust to deliver them to the Dominion's doorstep. Chapter 5. Rising from Ashes. The emergency session of the High Command convened in the deepest levels of Titan Base, in a chamber that had been designed to withstand a direct nuclear strike. The faces around the table were grim as Admiral Chen finished her briefing on Holt's betrayal and its implications. "So we're walking into a trap," General Morrison said flatly. "The Dominion knows we're coming, knows our plans, knows our strengths and weaknesses." "That's correct," Chen replied, her voice steady despite the magnitude of the crisis. "Our original assault plan is completely compromised." "Then we abort," suggested Admiral Reeves. "Pull back, regroup, develop new strategies." No, Chen's voice cut through the discussion like a blade. "We can't abort. If we withdraw now, the Dominion will know we've discovered their intelligence advantage. They'll press their attack, and we'll be fighting a defensive war we can't win." "So what do you propose?" Morrison asked. Chen activated the holographic display, showing the strategic situation around Dominion Prime. "We turn Holt's betrayal into our advantage. If the Dominion knows our plans, we give them exactly what they expect, and then we give them something they don't." She highlighted several key positions on the tactical map. "They're expecting us to attack in 3 waves, with our main force hitting their orbital defenses while our flanking forces strike the supply depots. They've positioned their fleet to counter that exact strategy. But if we know they know, double quotes, Colonel Martinez began, we can use their knowledge against them," Chen finished. "We staged the attack exactly as planned, but with a crucial difference. Our main force will be a decoy fleet, drone ships, and holographic projections. The real assault will come from a direction they'll never expect." Torres pulled up detailed schematics of the Dominion Prime system. "The dark side of the fourth moon has been dismissed as a tactical impossibility due to the gravitational anomalies, but if we can navigate through them, we can hit them from their blind spot," Chen said. "It's dangerous, possibly suicidal, but it's the only way to turn this situation around." The room fell silent as the assembled officers considered the plan. Finally, Admiral Reeves spoke. "It's insane. Half our fleet could be destroyed just trying to navigate those gravitational fields. Half our fleet will be destroyed anyway if we follow the compromised plan," Chen countered. "At least this way, we have a chance." General Morrison leaned forward. "What about Holt? Does he know about this new strategy?" "Holt is in isolation," Chen replied. "He has no access to communications or intelligence. As far as the Dominion knows, we're proceeding with the original plan." The vote was unanimous. Humanity would gamble everything on a single, desperate throw of the dice. As the meeting broke up, Chen found herself alone with Torres in the briefing room. The weight of command had never felt heavier. "Lisa," she said quietly, "I need you to prepare a message for the fleet. Tell them the truth about Holt's betrayal. They deserve to know what we're really fighting for." Torres nodded. "What should I tell them about our chances?" Chen stared at the tactical display, watching the red icons representing the Dominion fleet moving into position. "Tell them we're going to win. Tell them that betrayal and treachery are no match for courage and determination. Tell them that humanity's greatest strength has always been our ability to adapt and overcome, and if they ask about the odds," Chun's smile was fierce, "tell them the odds don't matter. We're not fighting for victory, we're fighting for survival. And there's no force in the universe more dangerous than a species fighting for its right to exist." They thought they had been defeated, that the Dominion's trap had sealed their fate. But humanity would not go down without a fight. They would rise from the ashes of betrayal and reclaim their future. Chapter 6. The Final Gambit. The bridge of the Retribution hummed with tension as Admiral Chen watched her fleet move into position. 24 hours had passed since the discovery of Holt's betrayal, and in that time humanity had transformed from a confident force preparing for victory into a desperate species fighting for survival. Admiral, reported Captain Williams from the tactical station, "the decoy fleet is in position. Holographic projections are active, and the drone ships are broadcasting full sensor signatures." Chen nodded, her eyes fixed on the main display showing the Dominion Prime system. The enemy fleet was exactly where their intelligence had predicted, positioned to counter the compromised assault plan. Holt's betrayal had been so complete that the Dominion commanders felt confident enough to position their forces in a perfect defensive formation. "Communications, open a channel to all ships," Chen ordered. The faces of her fleet commanders appeared on the screen, men and women who had followed her through impossible battles, who had trusted her with their lives and the lives of their crews. Many of them were still struggling to process the revelation of Holt's treachery. "My fellow officers," Chen began, her voice carrying across the void to every ship in the fleet. In a few hours, we will engage the enemy in what may be the final battle of this war. You know the stakes, you know the cost of failure. But I want you to know something else. We are not the same force that began this war 3 years ago. She paused, letting her words sink in. We have been tested by fire and betrayal. We have learned that our greatest enemy is not the Dominion fleet arrayed against us, but the darkness that can take root in the human heart. General Holt believed he was saving humanity by delivering us to the enemy. He was wrong. The channel crackled, with static as the fleet adjusted its formation. Moving through the treacherous gravitational fields of the fourth moon's dark side, several ships reported minor damage from the gravitational stresses, but the fleet held together. Today, we prove that humanity's strength lies not in the perfection of our leaders, but in our ability to overcome any obstacle, to adapt to any challenge, to rise from any defeat. The Dominion expects us to break under the weight of betrayal. Instead, we will use that betrayal to forge ourselves into something stronger. On the tactical display, the Dominion fleet began to move, positioning themselves to intercept the decoy force. The trap was about to be sprung, but not in the way the enemy expected. All ships, prepare for final approach, Chen ordered. Remember, we are not fighting for territory or resources. We are fighting for the right to determine our own destiny, and that is a fight we cannot afford to lose. The Retribution led the charge as the hidden fleet emerged from the shadow of the fourth moon. The gravitational anomalies had cost them 3 ships, but the remaining force was intact and completely undetected. They had achieved the impossible total tactical surprise. Dominion fleet is rotating to meet the decoy force, reported Williams. They're completely committed to the wrong battle. Chen felt a cold satisfaction as she watched the enemy fleet deploy in perfect formation to counter an attack that wasn't coming. Target their command ships first. We need to disrupt their communications before they can coordinate a response. The first wave of energy disruptors lanced through space, striking the Dominion flagship before its commander even realized he was under attack. The massive vessel shuddered as its shields failed, then exploded in a brilliant fireball that lit up the dark side of the moon. Direct hit on the command vessel, Torres reported. The Dominion fleet is in chaos. What followed was less a battle than a systematic dismantling of the enemy force. Caught completely off guard, the Dominion ships struggled to reorient themselves. While humanity's fleet struck with surgical precision, the enemy's superior technology and numbers meant nothing when they couldn't coordinate their response. Admiral Williams called out, "We're receiving a transmission from the Dominion fleet. They're requesting surrender terms." Chen stared at the tactical display, watching as the last of the enemy resistance crumbled. It was over. The war that had begun with humanity on the brink of extinction was ending with total victory. "Tell them," she said quietly, "that humanity accepts their surrender. And tell them that we will remember this day not as the day we defeated the Dominion, but as the day we proved that betrayal cannot break the human spirit." Epilogue. The weight of victory 6 months after the Battle of Dominion Prime. Admiral Chen stood in the Memorial Garden of New Geneva, Earth's rebuilt capital. The wall before her bore the names of every human who had died in the war, millions of names etched in black stone, a testament to the cost of their victory. Near the bottom of the wall, in a section set apart from the others, was a single name, General Alexander Holt. "You wanted to see me, Admiral." Chen turned to find Dr. Sarah Martinez, the base psychiatrist, approaching through the garden. The two women had become friends during the long months of reconstruction, bonded by their shared experience of betrayal and redemption. "I wanted to ask you about the others," Chen said, gesturing toward the memorial wall. "The soldiers who served under Holt, how are they dealing with the knowledge?" Martinez joined her at the wall, studying the endless list of names. "It's difficult. They trusted him completely, believed in him, learning that their hero was a traitor. It's shaken their faith in everything. And you, how do you help them rebuild that faith?" "I tell them the truth," Martinez replied. "That Holt's betrayal doesn't diminish their sacrifice or their courage. That evil exists in the world, but it doesn't define us. We define ourselves by how we respond to it." Chen nodded slowly. "The Dominion remnants are requesting a formal peace treaty. They want to negotiate terms for coexistence. Will you accept?" "I don't know," Chen admitted. "Part of me wants to demand their complete surrender, to make them pay for every life lost. But another part knows that vengeance is just another form of betrayal of the ideals we fought to defend." They stood in comfortable silence, watching as other visitors came and went from the memorial. families of the fallen, veterans seeking closure, children learning about the war that had defined their parents' generation. Admiral Martinez said finally, "There's something I need to tell you about Holt." Chen looked at her friend, sensing the weight of whatever revelation was coming. Before his execution, he requested one final meeting. "He wanted to tell you something, an apology," he said. "I advised against it, but he was insistent." "What did he say?" Martinez pulled out a small recording device. "He made this message for you. I wasn't sure if you'd want to hear it, but—" Chen took the device, feeling its weight in her palm. "Thank you. I'll listen to it when I'm ready." As Martinez left, Chen found herself alone with the memorial wall and the device containing Holt's final words. She wasn't sure she would ever be ready to hear them, but she knew that someday she would have to face the last message from the man who had nearly destroyed everything she held dear. Betrayal had cut deep into humanity's heart, but in the end, they had won against both the Dominion and the treachery within their ranks. As the dust settled, Chen knew the road ahead would not be easy. The scars of betrayal would take generations to heal, and the question of how to prevent such treachery in the future would haunt humanity's leaders for years to come. But together, humanity would face whatever challenges lay ahead. They had no choice. The alternative was to let the darkness win, and that was something they could never allow. As the sun set over New Geneva, casting long shadows across the memorial garden, Admiral Chen made a silent promise to the names on the wall. Humanity would remember. They would learn, and they would never again be caught off guard by the enemy within. The war was over. But the real battle, the battle for humanity's soul, was just beginning. End of story.